Hey, Kodiak here, and today I'm doing another tribe update video. This one I'm going to kind of split tribe level 5 up into two videos, part 1 and part 2. That's kind of how actually this tier has really progressed as well. Part 1 is really like like an XP grind, getting your awareness up to 60 and whatever you want to do, however you want to do that, and then doing the actual content of like, do the bosses, do the dungeons, do that type of stuff. So with that in mind, we'll cover the content that I've done first, which is basically I went and did Fog Frog, Berserk Fog Frog. The main reason I do Berserk Fog Frog is to get his costume because it has heat resistance on it. Even the Iron tier has like 25 heat resistance, which you need like about 25 to basically survive the scorching volcano. Another strategy you could do if you weren't like trying to like I try to keep to where progressing through the content in order, especially for the purposes of making these videos. So that way, if somebody did follow it that way, it's because that's how the in-game tells you to do it. You're not like trying to jump ahead, but realistically, you could just come up to here, grab the exploration mask, go into the mimicry mode, and then now you're immune to the volcano heat. And then you can go in there with steel, which is like way better. It's a steel tier area. It's all level 50 plus. There was a couple of hairy points when I came up and did the Holy Ruins at the end. That final boss almost got me a couple of times. They definitely are increasing more and more in speed and how quickly the robots react and do stuff. And there's a lot more pressure to play really well in order to survive. And it doesn't help when you're like you're in suboptimal gear. So that's certainly a route you could go. You could do it that way, but I went in with the Iron Fog Frog and managed to get that done. So that worked out. Got the restricted module, and that's pretty much all I've really done in terms of overall content wise. The majority of my time has really been spent grinding XP. I have been grinding pretty much all the camps. I will come over here and grind claw barracks for my bodies, as well as potential companion bodies. I come down here to the Flint barracks and look for what I called explorer bodies. So that way, those are guys I'll put into the hunting grounds. I come down to the Fang tribe down here for laborers, and this one for laborers, and this fortress for laborers. Like I'm just constantly always looking for better laborers from Fang. Which I've actually gotten a couple. I've actually gotten one that I'm actually reasonably happy with right now. So like I'm pretty good with that. But I'm still always looking for perfection, and like you need so many farmers. So getting like a planting pro guy with 120 farming with farming expert is like the dream. So I haven't gotten any. You can get 2 out of 3 pretty easily, but getting them all is very very almost non-existent. But overall, in terms of companions, I did get 3 companions kind of up. The first one is like my warrior template, if you will. Usually they're kind of like a bruiser. I'll put a 2-hand sword on them. As with most of the bodies, we have bloodbath recovery, quick bandaging, steel body, last radiance, and then float. So the float here is trick force. I don't know how much that will really help the NPCs, but like it doesn't really matter. Like there's so many good talents. If we're doing claw, I always do getting braver. Getting braver is fantastic in terms of damage. It is an immense. Having plus 20% chance to crit is just bonkers. On top of 5% crit, on top of that, it's just you can't get like it's just completely insane. They crit nonstop. It's plus 20% crit damage, just fantastic. So. So I got that, and mastery-wise, she rolled Butcher, which is all I really care about, but I do want to try out Counter Lifesteal to see if the NPCs will actually use it well. If they do, that may be really good, because she'll have constant super armor, and she'll also have some lifesteal, and she'll have some counter attacks, so if she gets, a little swarm, she can, just be dishing out tons of, like, free damage. But that's only if they actually use it, which I don't know if they will. So, I figured I'd give that a shot. The other 2 are actually from the Flint tribe. This one here is actually I'm going to be using primarily as an archer or a hybrid archer. I'll actually put arrows on it, essentially. And that one is because she got running fire. Running fire with an NPC is fantastic. They drop to a knee and man, they are like a machine gun. So that's really fantastic. And then otherwise, she's got vertical wall and leap spear, which is that's all you can really ask for. Those are just fantastic. So that kind of works. In terms of ability or talents, it's more or less the same setup. We got all the same things. The difference for her is her float is rapid fire because she's going to be a bow person. And then she has insight defense because she is from the flint. This is by far the best flint ability. Pair it up with a shield because the NPCs will parry all the time with shields. She'll be ignoring defense and just dealing crazy damage. More or less the same scenario here with my last guy, where, more or less the same setup, but again, trick force in the float with insight defense. And then insight defense will actually go ahead and really work really well. So with that, I needed a shield, which he got vertical wall, and I probably will pair it up with a sword for dash slash and then put him on defensive as his behavior. So that way he will actually try to do stuff. I don't know if they will actually use taunt, but if they do, that would be wonderful because 10 meters to attack him would be completely fantastic. So those are kind of the guys. For my bodies, they're more or less the same. I actually have two bodies. The first one here, more or less the same setup. The difference is that I have rapid fire for myself. So that's kind of the same overall setup. This body rolled a Blood Drinker. Blood Drinker is okay. It's really good in like a hyper-specific setup, but trying to get that hyper-specific setup is incredibly difficult. You basically need to get the double bleed ability, which is the ultimate for dual blades, because then you're doing 2 bleeds on the target, and it applies it at a incredibly high rate, so then you get it. But with just basic abilities, you're going to proc some bleeds, but it's not going to be too big. The bigger thing to know with it is like I'll just be putting bleed mods on all of my weapons. So all of my weapons can proc it, especially when I'm using like one hand, for example. Otherwise, running fire. I've never actually had a body with running fire, so got that. And then reduce. So those kind of worked out really well. Butcher is fun, but I probably won't use a greatsword on this particular character. By comparison, I have Orson, who actually rolled not only slide, but then also butcher, so I probably will be using a greatsword on him quite a bit. Again, we got leaf spear. There's still some abilities that we're unlocking, getting the higher levels, so hopefully we'll get something else in here between, either backstab or even spectral blades or hopefully running fire. We'll see what happens here. Taunt, I don't really care. That's not really great. The defense on Mama Bear was a lot better. The other thing I really dislike is the max hydration is minus 40%, which on full power mode, because I use so much more hydration, it is actually somewhat annoying. I fainted more than once in combat because it's like I just ignored my water because I didn't drink on cooldown type thing. So that's kind of what I got going on. Nothing bad. Certainly everything that I can beat the game with, so certainly don't have a problem. This guy just has extra humanoid damage. This one actually got extra crits, so it's not too bad. I've been piloting this one for the most part, but I will use Orson, for example, to kill the Doommate. So that's really what I spent a lot of the time grinding on and doing that. That's really kind of getting everything unlocked. Everything else has really been maintenance. It's been like unlocking different things, grinding out for different parts of the game. For example, in order to do all that training, I've actually taken advantage of my high tribe cap to actually go ahead and tame a bunch of guys with single traits. So like this guy just has Last Radiance. This guy has just Trick Force, so on and so forth. As well as, for example, all the Explorer bonuses, and then just throw them into Hibernation Pods. Well, every Hibernation Pod, I got to go run a dungeon with a Hibernation Pod. Then I got to make sure that I have enough Mithril, so that means running Ancient Dungeons. I got to run bosses because it's 20 blue crystals per Hibernation Pod. So it's a bit of a process for sure, but having all this on demand is really nice. And putting them in Hibernation Pods means they don't take against my cap, so I'm still only at 53 of 65. So that works out pretty well. In terms of keeping my tribe cap down. And then if I have one where it's maybe I want to erase the last talent of the last king, that is something that I've kind of noted is for example here, let's say I don't want rapid fire on this body. Let's say I want to replace it with Trick Force or something like that. I can do an amnesia potion, send this character up to the top up there, and then just learn that one talent and then now I've just replaced that one talent for that one thing. So that works out pretty well. Definitely a fan of that, and I've thought about doing that in a couple of cases for a couple of these things, because most of these characters, short of their first talent, they, you know, all these have been learned, so it would be easy to like rearrange the order. So then, let's say I wanted to just go ahead and remove Trick Force off of Orson, well then I could just go all the way back to wherever and say remove Rapid Fire. So go 1, 2, 3, then put back on Great Getting Braver, then put on Last Radiance, and then put on either Trick Force or put on Rapid Fire at that point. And that's like a possibility. So that's a nice thing with this whole setup, is that ability to, like, you can switch around things and then train one thing specifically as needed for your character if you want it, or how those things change. So that's kind of that. Let's get that kind of set up. Now, in terms of invasions, which is basically the last part, they definitely have gotten disgustingly difficult. So with Tribe Level 4, guys started using what are called small explosive arrows. And you can actually see the small explosive arrows as a name if we come down here under ammo. So if we go under weapons and we type in arrow, you can see there is a small explosive arrow, which for some reason has a period at the end of that sentence. So they gave this new item to the invaders when they come in. And the problem with that is like in tier 4, it did a little bit of damage. Like, it would destroy stone after quite a few shots, right? Like, if you just left a guy to sit there to shoot it for a while, it would eventually destroy stone. It will absolutely destroy wood. You can see like wood has like 1200 durability, whereas like stone up here is 2400 durability. So it's like double the amount in terms of defenses. So that works out pretty well. Well, a steel, that all that damage goes up like by a bajillion. It's really frustrating. So I had a video that I showed the devs, so they at least acknowledged it. They know it. They have said, yep, that's a bug. Well, thank you for showing us. We'll make adjustments. But basically, I had guys come in. They set up their ballista turrets. Okay, killed those guys. Then the next wave came in, got stuck, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna hop on down here, and I'll throw an incendiary onto to that big pack there or whatever, right? Man, they all go on fire. They all whip out their explosive arrows, and they just absolutely annihilate my base. I'm talking, those arrows are doing like 900 plus damage per shot per guy, and there's like 30 guys. So like this whole thing here died in like 2 volleys, because I was up there as well, and the whole building collapsed. The ballista's gone. Everything's collapsed. I'm down here, and I'm like, well, at least I got the big wall, right? Nope. They completely blew through this wall in seconds. It was completely insane. So like my whole base just got like half annihilated through here. I was just like, no, that's not a thing. Like that is completely imbalanced. I'm not doing it. So I absolutely reloaded. I don't like to save scum, but you know, that was definitely, if I do run into like a what I feel is a bug or an issue, I'm willing to do it. So I did go ahead and I did swap that out. I did swap back to the older save, and then I had the other video you may or may not have seen, where I actually just said, all right, well, I can't have them fight at the base. So instead what I did was I went outside the base and fought them out in the field. And that was actually kind of fun. There's a couple of scenarios where I almost got had a couple of times, but you can actually see the explosive arrows in action, where they just send you constantly getting flying around and getting knocked around and whatnot. So I was able to do that, and then any extra guys that got through, they killed themselves on the pegboard, so that worked out really well. Killed 100 guys, and that was pretty neat. The problem with that is that it's kind of tedious to fight like that many guys, but more importantly, it's tedious to loot them all, because it's like you got to loot 100 guys, and you're like shoving stuff in your companions, and you're looting more. So it was nice that when they died inside my base radius, I could just set a guy to be a cleaner, and they would clean it up. So that was unfortunate. So what I've been doing, honestly, is I've just been paying off the invasions at this point. There's really no downsides to paying off the invasion. It just means you just don't have to deal with it. So that's kind of where I've been at with it. I don't if they fix the bug, I'd be more willing to do it because I like playing like the tower defense, if you will. Like, okay, they're in here, clean up the guys. Okay, they're in here, clean up the guys. Okay, that's kind of fun. It's like testing my defenses against something, not just like fighting in an open field. So, um, but for now, I'll probably just keep paying them off until I get to the next tier, next tribe level, and then I want to try a higher tribe level invasion. First of all, I want to see like how much actual damage the new explosive arrows will do. I'll probably record that video just for fun, and then I'll probably fight them out in the field again for that as well. So. But that's kind of where we're at. Next up, like I said, is content. So that's going to be killing a bunch of bosses. So it's like we have Doom Fog Frog, we have Doom Ape, we have Berserk and Doom Thunderhawk, Thunderbirds. It's Thunder something. Skybird words. And then of course we have Berserk and Doom Mammoth. I usually do those two together before I get to enhance, and then I put enhanced gear on. After that, the only content really to do would be the core. So we would have the core to do. So we'll go in and do that, get our enhancement table, get all those things, get our lights. I might do that before a lot of things just because I really want the light and the functionality that it adds. It's really convenient. And then we have the Alpine Plunderers and the 2 Ancient Dungeons. The other Ancient Dungeon here is like level 50-ish or so Steel Tier. So that'll probably be in there. I have plenty of keys. And then we have the Ancient level 60 dungeon version of this as well to do, as well as the King of the Snow Alpine Plunderer to kill. That guy's actually pretty tough. It's 2 elites with him boosting them quite a bit. So that should be fun. We'll have a little tactical guidance mask off with him. So that's all the stuff that's coming. I'm hoping to be done here in a couple of days, and then we'll be tribe level 6, and we'll kind of wrap this up. So thanks.